Welcome children. Today we are going to begin the first lesson, The Fun They Had, from Beehive, the English textbook of class 9. I am Miss Flavey of St. Joseph Central School, Vijayanagar. Now before I start this lesson, let's know about the author, Isaac Asimov. Isaac Asimov was born on January 2nd, 1920. He was an American writer and professor of biochemistry at Boston University. He was known for his work of science fiction and popular science. Asimov has written or edited more than 500 books. He belongs to the Russian nationality. He died on April 6, 1992 at the age of 72. The story we shall read is set in the future, when books in schools as we now know or have will perhaps not exist. Now a question may come in our minds that how will children study then? The diagram given below in your textbook may give you some ideas. Here we have 4 diagrams in a text. The first picture is a boy who's sitting in front of the system. He is learning through computers. The second one is the virtual classroom. Now, what is this virtual classroom? Virtual classroom is an online learning environment that allows teachers and students to communicate, interact, and explain ideas. It enables students to access quality teachers anywhere on the globe through internet connection. Next picture is a robotic teacher. The last picture is a system with a moving e-text. This e-text is nothing but an electronic text. It is a general term for any document that is read in digital form. Some of them download the novel, which is in the form of e-text, from the net. The e-text novels can be stored in the system, whereas the novel books needs a lot of space and need to be discarded after it becomes old and worn out and needs a lot of maintenance. Now, coming to the first para of the lesson, let's know about the characters of the story. Maji, an 11-year-old girl. Tommy, a 13-year-old boy. Mrs. Jones, Maji's mother, and County Inspector. County Inspector is a round little man with a whole box of tools with dials and wires who repairs the system. Maji even wrote about it that night in a diary on the page headed 17 May 2157. She wrote, "Today, Tommy found a real book." Now, you know what a diary is all about. A diary is a section of writing that has been organized by date. Your thoughts, feelings, and opinions are written in this book at the end of the day. It was a very old book. Maji's grandfather once said that when she was a little boy, his grandfather told him that there was a time when all stories were printed on paper. They turned the pages, which were yellow and crinkly. Crinkly here means with many folds or lines. And it was awfully funny to read words that stood still instead of moving the way they were supposed to on a screen, And then when they turned back to the page before, it had the same words on it that it had when they read it the first time. Coming to the second pattern now. Gee, said Tommy. What a waste. When you're through with the book, you just throw it away, I guess. Our television screen must have had 1,000,000 books on it, and it's good for plenty more. I wouldn't throw it away. Same with mine, said Maji. She was 11 and hadn't seen as many telebooks as Tommy had. He was 13. She said, Where did you find it? In my house, he pointed without looking because he was busy reading. In the attic. Attic is a space just below the roof used as a storeroom. What's it about? School. Maji was scornful. Scornful means hateful. School? What's there to write about school? I hate school. Maji always hated school, but now she hated it more than ever. The mechanical teacher had been giving her test after test in geography, and she had been doing worse and worse until her mother had shaken her head sorrowfully and sent for the county inspector. Now, fourth para. He was a round little man with a red face and a whole box of tools with dials and wires. He smiled at Margie and gave her an apple, then took the teacher apart. Took the teacher apart means here it is system, not human beings. Margie had hoped he wouldn't know how to put it together again, but she knew. Oh, all right, and after an hour or so, there it was again, large and black and ugly, with a big screen on which all the lessons were shown and the questions were asked. That wasn't so bad. The part Margie hated most was the slot where she had to put homework into papers. She always had to write them out in a punch code. They made her learn when she was 6 years old. A punch code is a secret language, and a mechanical teacher calculated the marks in no time. The inspector had smiled after he was finished and patted Margie's head. He said to her mother, It's not the little girl's fault, Mrs. Jones. I think the geography sector was geared a little too quick. Geared here means adjusted to a particular standard or level. Those things happen sometime. I've slowed down it up to an average 10-year level. Actually, the overall pattern of a progress is quite satisfactory. And he patted Margie's head again. Margie was disappointed. Why was she disappointed? Because she didn't like to write this homework, and she didn't like one-to-one basis in a separate room, probably. She had been hoping they would take the teacher away altogether. They had once taken Tommy's teacher away for nearly a month because the history sector had blanked out completely. So she said to Tommy, Why would anyone write about school? Now, coming to the next para. Tommy looked at her with a very superior eyes. Because it's not our kind of school, stupid. Stupid here is nothing but foolish. This is the old kind of school that they had hundreds and hundreds of years ago. He added loftily. Loftily here means in a superior way. As Tommy thought, he knew more than Maji. Because he was 13 years old, he was probably in that particular stage wherein he thought no end of himself. Pronouncing the word carefully centuries ago. Maji was hurt. Well, I don't know what kind of school they had all the time ago. She read the book over his shoulder for a while and then said, anyway, they had a teacher. Sure, they had a teacher, but it wasn't a regular teacher. It was a man. Regular here means of the usual kind. A man? How could a man be a teacher? Well, he just told the boys and girls things and gave them homework and asked them questions. Coming to the 7th para. A man isn't smart enough. Sure he is. My father knows as much as my teacher. He knows almost as much. I betcha. Betcha here means I'm sure. Maji wasn't prepared to dispute that. Dispute means disagree with whatever Tommy was telling. She said, I wouldn't want a strange man in my house to teach me. Tommy screamed with laughter. You don't know much, Maji. The teachers didn't live in the house. They had a special building and all the kids went there. Now, special building is nothing but the present school that we are going to. We have different classrooms, section-wise and all those things. That is what Tommy is telling here about. And all the kids learned the same thing. Sure, if they were the same age. Coming to the 8th para. But my mother says a teacher has to be adjusted to fit the mind of each boy and girl. It teaches and that each kid has to be taught differently. Just the same, they didn't do it that way then. If you don't like it, you don't have to read the book. I didn't say I didn't like it, Maji said quickly. She wanted to read about those funny schools. They weren't even half finished when Maji's mother called, Margie, school. Maji looked up. Not yet, Mama. Now, said Mrs. Jones. It's probably time for Tommy too. Maji said to Tommy, can I read the book some more with you after school? Maybe, he said nonchalantly. Nonchalantly means not showing much interest or enthusiasm. He walked away whistling, the dusty old book tucked beneath his arm. Maji went into the schoolroom. It was right next to her bedroom, and the mechanical teacher was on and waiting for her. It was always on at the same time every day except Saturday and Sunday. Weekends, we can say. Because her mother said little girls learned better if they learned at regular hours. The screen was lit up and it said, today's arithmetic lesson is on. The addition of proper fractions. Please insert yesterday's homework in the proper slot. Now when it comes to homework, how like you Margie was. She didn't like homework. She didn't like to put the homework, nor did she like the test probably. That is why she hated the school. Now coming to para 10, Maji did so with a sigh. A deep breath she took. She was thinking about the old schools they had when her grandfather's grandfather was a little boy. All the kids from the whole neighborhood came laughing and shouting in the schoolyard, sitting together in the schoolroom, learned the same thing so that they could help one another with the homework and talk about it. Now, you must be missing school, sitting at home. How long will you sit at home watching TV or playing games? Feel like coming to school also, isn't it? And coming back to the lesson, and the teacher were people. The mechanical teacher was flashing on the screen when we had fraction, half and quarter. Margie was thinking about how the kids must have loved it in the old days. She was thinking about the fun they had. Now, a quick recap of the summary, I must say, of the lesson. Let's go on. The setting of the story is 22nd century, about 150 years ahead. Second, we come to Margie's diary note. Margie is a little girl of the school. In the story, makes a diary entry. And she writes, Tommy found a real book. Now, next is about the real book. Tommy found an old real book printed on paper. Maji was surprised to see such a book. They were using telebooks and had never seen a real book before. The book was on schools as they were centuries ago. Now, how were the schools centuries ago? They were in a separate building. Children came to it willingly. They were human teachers. Kids of the same age group were taught the same things and got the same homework. They could help each other and discuss it. Now, the school in the story. It was located in the house itself. There was an individual school for each child. The mechanical teacher taught using sectors of subjects, gave homework and tests, checked them, and gave marks. Next comes the poor performance of Maji in geography. Maji's teacher was giving her test after test in geography, and she was performing worse day by day. This worried her mother, so she sent for the county inspector. He took the teacher apart. He took the teacher apart means to repair. He found that it was going too quick. So he slowed it down and set it to the average 10-year level. Next, we come to Maji's disappointment. Now, what is she disappointed in? Maji thought that the setting of the geography sector would take about 1 month. She was just comparing here. Comparison was going on. As Tommy's history sector did, but hers took only 1 hour to set it right. This disappointed her as she was not ready to study geography even for a single day. Then comes Maji's thoughts. That day, when the teacher was teaching her addition of fractions, her thoughts were elsewhere. She was thinking what fun the kids might be having, studying, playing, and enjoying together centuries ago. One thing is very clear, Maji didn't like her school at all. She only liked the present school that you are going to. She liked to sit with all her friends and then listen to the lesson. She didn't like to sit in front of the screen. Now, finally, I can come to one conclusion, that for the present situation we are in, we are not supposed to go out because of this pandemic. We should be 150 years ahead in order to be safe from this pandemic COVID-19. Now, in this lesson, you must have come across lots of contractions. Now, what is a contraction? Contraction is wherein you put the apostrophe, a short form. Now, would not becomes wouldn't, could not becomes couldn't. A lot of you are becomes your. A lot of contractions you can see in this. If you are a little bit more sensitive, you will come across lot of contraction given in this lesson. At the same time, you come across a lot of adverbs. Now, those adverbs initially when you have learned in your lower classes. The word that ends with ly becomes adverbs. We have awfully, sorrowfully, completely, loftily, carefully, differently, quickly, nonchalantly. All those words that end with ly is adverbs. Now, what is an adverb? Just you must recall what has been taught in your lower class. Now, adverbs are those words that modifies a verb, okay, which tells you more about a verb. When you get the textbook, probably you can just underline all those adverbs that you come across in this lesson. Probably one activity can be given to you all, I think. Calculate how many years and months ahead from now Maji's diary entry is. Now Maji's diary entry has been written in which year? 17 May 2151. How many years ahead it is? 17 May 2157. How many years ahead was this diary written is what you will have to calculate. I repeat, 17 May 2157. Activity 2. You will have to find out the difference you see between the school of the future and the current time school. Which one of the two appeals to you the most? I can give you some of the hints. The school of the current time or the present time. Human teachers are there teaching the students. Then books are printed on papers with text in ink of different colors. The students, in case they have doubts, they can approach the teacher for clarification. Exams are conducted by human beings and the teachers correct them. Now, comparing it to the schools of the future, they have virtual classroom. Then learning would be through computers and robotic teachers. The study materials would be available in the form of e-text. They don't have printed books. Then examination is all online. Online examination they will have to take. Then the pros and cons of the present, the current time school and the future time school, you will have to, after writing, you will have to just write which appeals to you, which you like more, the present or the future. Okay, and then if you like about the human teachers, you can write the different tools they use, how they make the topic more interesting, and most of them like school because of PT, I think. Children like to play football or cricket or whatever you like. Probably that only appeals to you all. Okay, so these two activities I have given for you all. Just jot it down somewhere on a rough book so that you think about the present school and the future school and which you like the most. Okay, thank you.